3 weeks into Alone. It's very interesting to not see anyone go home today. We kind of covered days 8 to 14, which has been a little bit strange this season because, like, the first episode we covered like days 1 to 10. Next episode we backtracked to, I think, around day 4 and went to around day 12. And then today we backtrack again back to day 8 and carried on till I think around day 14. We finally got to meet the two contestants we hadn't had a look at yet. So those are Joel and Keith. Really, we still didn't see that much out of Keith. I think he got 2 quick little shots, and that was about it. We saw Keith combing his hair and making earrings. Like, that was it. I don't think we. Oh, we saw him fishing as well with his bank lines, and that was really it. It felt like we didn't get much of an insight into him and what he was doing. So, which I found interesting because he seemed like he was doing stuff. Like, he's making those earrings. He was fishing in a unique way that no one else was, and we just didn't really get much from him. And then Joel, on the other hand, has his roots from South Africa. He definitely has the most unique accent on the show this season. And he was just seems like a zany guy. He found this muskox head, or skull, pardon me, and sets it up as basically his Wilson in his camp, so he has somebody to talk to. And then he was doing this whole skit about him and talking to Jaco, his buddy from South Africa, his muskox buddy from South Africa. It was kind of amusing, and yeah, we'll see how long that helps to keep him sane. He seemed like an interesting guy. Lots of solid survival skills, and very interested to see just exactly what Joel is going to be able to do this season. Somebody else I want to talk about right off the start here is Roland. You know, we got to see him pretty much finish up his rock house. That is probably the most insane shelter I've ever witnessed someone make on this show. He looks like he is going to be set if he can survive. Now, I say if he can survive because Roland is burning a lot of calories. That was a major undertaking he did to build the rock house. That's essentially 2 weeks out of his 100 days dedicated into moving large rocks, cutting down trees, hauling large trees around, stuffing in moss, and he really does not have much food to show for it. We did see Roland take down a squirrel today and was just licking the blood off his fingers. And I'll be honest, that is the first thing this season that really creeped me out. Licking the blood from a wild animal. That seems quite high risk to me. I don't know about you guys. Like, maybe there's something I don't know about delicious squirrel blood. But yeah, it was not my thing. And I just am concerned about how much food is Roland going to be able to get before winter really starts to hit. And once winter hits, what sort of calories will he be able to sustain for himself? We did see him start to stash up the fireweed. He's the only contestant that we've seen consuming or gathering fireweed. And, you know, if he is able to find enough of it, it could be something that majorly pays off for him in the long run, because even with all the meat that some of the other contestants are gathering right now, that may not be sustainable deep into the heart of the Arctic winter. Next up, let's talk about Amos. He had a very interesting thing happen today. So he's been, like, I would say, probably our fishing master of the season. I think they said he's caught something like 11 fish. So he's almost taken in a fish every single day that he's been out there. But we saw him get his meat storage. So he has this little satchel and ties a rope to it, strings it up in a tree. But I was thinking, like, what is the satchel? So in his interview tonight after the show, Amos revealed that it was an extra pair of underwear. He had an extra pair of extra large underwear in his supplies and used it as his food storage. I'm really liking Amos so far. He seems very resourceful, is absolutely crushing it in the food gathering department. And, he seems like as long as his food stash doesn't get taken, he is going to be set for a long run on this show. And I think that he's going to be one of our contestants who makes it to the very end. Next up, we have Kealan. I've really been enjoying her, but what a gaffe she had today. She goes on a fishing expedition, hikes a mile away from her camp, does not take her bow with her, and what animal just waltzes in beside Kealan? A moose. Like, she was so close. Like, I don't even think I would have missed that shot. And I haven't shot a bow and arrow since I was like 10 years old. It was just right there. Like, she could have just, pulled out an arrow, knocked it, drew back, aimed kinda, let loose. The only issue would have been hitting that moose hard enough to actually take it down with a bow and arrow, which can be a challenge because they are large and resilient animals. Lastly, we have Joe. We touched back in on Joe, and I was really, as the episode was progressing, I was thinking, if somebody's going home today, it's Joe. I just got the vibe that he was diminishing as this episode went on, and unless he hit something big, he is going to be in trouble. Even we saw him lose out on catching that squirrel that he had totally trapped in a little hole. Not sure what he could have done better there or different, but that is lost calories, that's lost protein, and all of that is going to work against him. The only thing that we've really seen Joe excelling at so far is eating berries. That seems to be his primary source of calories, and that's about all it seems like he has going for him right now. Overall, I've been very impressed with our contestants so far this season. We have way better shelters than normal. I think that will help propel a lot of our contestants deeper into the show than we normally see our average contestant go. We're 14 days in now. We've only had 2 people go home, so that's 8 people, pretty deep into the show already, and most of them thriving. It's very interesting. We're going to be coming up to the cold weather soon, and things will change dramatically once we start to see the freezing temperatures and the extreme elements really come into play. One other thing I really caught me off guard today was they zoomed in on the map where our contestants were all dropped off, and they are not actually terribly far from where I live, which I found very interesting. I'm south, a couple hundred miles, a couple hundred kilometers from where they're filming this year, and it's seriously directly north of where I am, and it was just kind of cool to see, know people who have been up in that region, know stories about up in Great Slave Lake, which is roughly where they are, and just kind of had a little connection to home for me, which I don't know, just kind of put a smile on my face, and I really enjoyed. All right, that is it for me for this week. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you back here next week for another episode of Alone. See ya.